Welcome. Welcome, everybody. I'm sorry for our little tech glitch there. I'm Selena Rezvani, and you are joining Women and Work Culture. This is a show all about highlighting those positive habits and practices for boosting women's leadership and helping companies really make those bold bets on their female talent. I feel so lucky today to be here today with Kailei Carr. She is a leadership speaker. She's a coach. She's an advocate for women of color. Welcome, Kailei.
Thank you for having me, Selena. I'm excited to be here.
I am so excited to have you. You know, I don't know if you remember, but we first met in the speakers lounge a few years ago, right? At the Texas Women's Conference. And I remember chatting and getting to speak with you and thinking to myself, like, I have got to partner with her in the future. Like we have. So I'm so happy we're making that happen in the ways, you know, and we're just getting started, right? So
That's right.
and a big welcome to our community today. We're so happy to have you joining. Drop us a note, tell us hello and where in the world you're joining us from. We'd love to know. Let me tell you a little bit about the magic of Kailei. You have such a great background and you're doing such an important service. She's CEO and founder of the Asbury Group. That's a leadership development firm specializing in transformational leadership type programs. And I love this, whole person coaching. Yes, we need that. She's a coach and advisor, not only to executives, but to executive bound professionals who are on their way. And she helps with things like elevating executive presence, personal brand, and leading from a place of authenticity, what we're talking about today. I love it. Her clients are big time. You know these clients' names: Comcast, Accenture, Prudential, Nielsen, and Network of Executive Women, just to name a few. How awesome. I want to invite you, friends, to send your questions for Kailei around authentic leadership. What have you been wondering about in terms of really showing up as you? And a big hello to Edna from Philadelphia. We're so happy to have you. Crystal from Seattle, Philly suburbs in the house. Really glad to see you all today. I just want to say to everybody, you know, it feels really apropos to be speaking about authenticity today. In my own life, I've been dealing with some scary medical kind of issues with my own mom. And I have to tell you, coming into today, I was feeling a lot of pressure from myself to kind of shapeshift, right? To be something else, to show up together, not like the struggling person, you know, I feel like. And then I remembered our topic, Kailei.
Yes.
And I remembered, okay, we're talking about authenticity today. And so I'm already appreciating the ways you are leading conversations around leadership and bringing this into conversations. You know, you're giving people permission to not only talk about it, but kind of bring their full, messy, struggling selves into conversations. So thank you many times over. You know, I want to jump right in. You do so much great work around empowering women, but I know not only women. I want to ask this. I know I'm not the only one. So many of us are playing multiple roles, right? We're moms, we're sisters, we're wives, we're professionals and executives. How do you like to think of reconciling or like synchronizing those many different roles we play?
Yeah, so I mean, I've always, well, first of all, I want to say I am thinking about and praying for your mom
Thank
and
you.
that everything works well. I had a conversation earlier today, and I'll get to the question, I promise. But real quick story, earlier today was preparing for a session that I'm leading next week. And the person who was interviewing me started by letting me know that his daughter's boyfriend who was visiting them passed away on Saturday.
Oh,
24 years old, heart attack, out of the blue, he was healthy. And so it was like, you know what? All this other stuff isn't as important. However, it also brings some honesty and truth to the moment that let's take off the mask, let's take off the facade, the quote unquote professionalism where we feel like we need to show up in a
yes.
certain way, and let's just be real.
Yes.
Let's
Right.
just be real. And so when you ask that question, I've always shied away from that, the age old panel discussion question of what is your philosophy on balance and work-life balance? And when I hear work-life anything, I believe that we have a life, and in our lives we play multiple roles. For me, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm an entrepreneur, I am a coach. I have to show up in so many ways for many different people, but I'm still Kailei. So for me, it's about embracing the fullness of who we are and all of the ways in which that we show up.
That's beautiful, right? I think part of it is accepting it, but I loved your point too about the honesty, the almost like integrity when you're showing fully up, right? Even if it's not like a pretty picture every single time, right? There's like a transparency that you need sometimes with yourself before
Right.
you can be authentic with other people, right? Um, I know I just described one of those authenticity stretch moments, right? Where you're challenged. Is there one for you that comes to mind that, in your own career you faced where you had to stretch or challenge yourself to really show up authentically?
Well, it's interesting when I think about when in my career I wasn't being authentic. In the moment, I didn't know. In the moment, I did not know. I thought I was climbing the corporate ladder. I was expanding my leadership. I was doing more at work and getting accolades for it. I was working so I've been on my own doing this work for about 6.5 years, but I spent over 15 years in corporate America. And I loved my career. Like, I had great experiences. Looking back now, and with the people that I work with now, when I tell them, back early 2013, I was leading a marketing department for a tech company. Does that sound like me? Like, no. I was leading, presentations on how to use ad technology to better serve your clients on social media. Like, that just is not in alignment with who I am and what I'm here on the planet to do. But at the time, I did not know. So it took my own moment that was a catalyst when my mom had been battling cancer for a year and a half, and my company asked me to relocate to our corporate headquarters, and said, we'll wait until she gets better. And I decided to not do that, not take that move. My last day in corporate America was on a Friday. On Monday, my mom passed away.
Oh my
And
goodness.
everything changed, right? So a moment like that caused me to reevaluate, what do I want to do? Do I want to get another 6-figure job, climbing up the ladder? But everything in me said, no, now's the time to use your gifts, to serve others, to help them achieve some of the things that you have and more. And so now I can look back at that time and realize, oh, I wasn't being authentic, but I didn't even know. And now that I'm doing, I'm standing more fully in the fullness of me and my gifts, then I can see that contrast.
Wow, that's incredible. And it strikes me that you had to have been listening to some of your own intuition that guided you in your decisions when you shared that and that timeline of events. Wow. You must have been listening and pretty tuned in to, what you were yearning for, right? You weren't overriding it, which sometimes we can do. Sometimes we do that. I want to ask for that person who's wanting to take a first step to show up even more authentically, right? Maybe they're a little private, or maybe they're guarded with what's personal, or maybe they really compartmentalize their life. Is there a first step you think they can take to have that more authentic leadership style?
Yes, I often walk people through many introspective questions, because I think in order to take any step into showing up more authentically, you need to understand who you are and embrace that, own that, and see that as your value. So I would say a good first step is to understand that the ways in which you are different are actually your differentiators. And oftentimes when we are at work, whether it's, in our leadership or in general, we want to diminish the ways in which we're different to fit in. And a lot of the people that I work with, a lot of my clientele are women of color, and they're conditioned to not, show up as the, whatever their culture, in the fullness of their culture and their being and their experiences, and instead assimilate. And what I tell people is, no, all of the ways in which you are different, all of your experiences that have shaped who you are, all of your strengths and your passions and your purpose, that's all what's going to make you different and differentiated from everyone else.
I love that. So you can't flex your authenticity, right? Until you know what the difference maker is for you. How are you unique? And I think that's a great prompt for all of us and for you all listening. What is that unique value proposition you bring that's different than everybody else, right? I would have loved this message too, by the way, my younger self, when you were saying we try to play down our differences. I was the only half white, half Pakistani kid, right? And it just felt so different and so odd and unusual that I remember that was like a full-time job when you're little, trying to play down, how you're different. Sometimes you don't realize till later, okay, that's one of my superpowers, right? I want to know, who is somebody you look up to, Kailei, as an authentic leader?
There's so many that, I could share that people would know names of. But one that immediately comes to mind is a woman I know. Her name is Evelyn Miller, and she is a CFO of a company in Texas called TD Industries. And what I love about Evelyn is that here she's this powerhouse. She has just made so many beautiful decisions, tough and defied odd decisions in her life. And what I love about her is that she shows up fully in her personal power. People who know her to be so solid and grounded in the fullness of who she is. She understands, why she is here. She is powered through her purpose. And she also does things to nourish her mind, body, and soul so that she can be the most effective leader that she can be. So I love the truth and the honesty of who she is, but how when you're in her presence, you experience her fully.
That's beautiful. I love it. What a role model. And, I think it's so important for us women, to see women who are really themselves and who, I mentioned earlier, shapeshifting, who are not shapeshifting into some other mold, right? Just because it's the default, just because it's what's common, just, whatever. It's so important. And when we see those women, they stand out. They really stand out when they're leading as they are. So what a beautiful kind of gift she's giving by modeling that. I want to ask, Mandeep M is asking a question, which is, what is her name again? Will you share her name again?
Oh, sure. Her name is Evelyn Miller. And I'll have to share this with her. She'll be so happy that I mentioned
I
her.
love it. Yeah, we'll have to give her
Yes,
proper.
follow her on LinkedIn.
Okay, good. Evelyn Miller, and it was TD Industries, wasn't it?
Yes.
Awesome. Great. And keep your questions coming for Kailei. If you have them, we'd love to be able to give her a few of those in the time we have. How about you, Kailei? When do you feel most authentically yourself?
I think I feel most authentically myself when I don't have a lot of noise around me. And by noise, I mean that I am centered. I am in an happy, joyful state of mind, but that also I'm able to serve others using my gifts.
Beautiful, which is what you did when you came out of that more corporate job, isn't it? Right? Which just doesn't quite sound like it was using all your gifts fully.
Right.
We're hearing, I wish I had these lessons as my younger self, but feel so grateful to be able to share them with my two daughters. How beautiful is that?
Yes.
So often we need to push and stretch, right, to get to that next level. What do you think about that balancing act between authentic, being authentic and stretching yourself out of that comfort zone? What can you say about that? Finding that balance.
That is a really good question. The word growth has an ow in the middle of it for a reason.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes growth can be difficult. And sometimes if we don't tap into our intuition enough, and I know that we mentioned intuition, I think sometimes the things that are not in alignment with who we are and the things that will help us expand may seem the same, but I believe that when we really take a breath, center ourselves, and really ask our higher selves why or what the next step should be, then oftentimes, we'll hear this is not right, or we'll get upset at ourselves that, oh, I have to take this. I know I have to do this, and I know it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
So it is a really delicate balance, but I found for me, when I center myself and really listen to what's truly going to serve my highest good, the answer will come.
I love that because often it's tempting to look outside yourself and look at 52 books and articles and listen to somebody else about it, but often you do know deep down, is it right? Is it wrong? Is something twitching in my solar plexus telling me this feels weird? I shouldn't do it, and we have so much of that. So if there's part of you that's looking out there, anyone saying, I wonder what the right decision is, really going deep, like Kailei said, centering yourself, reducing the noise, getting to that place of knowing, often you've got the kernel and you've got the answer.
Yes.
Love it. What do you think is a little step? So often we talk about micro steps here, and is there a baby step somebody could take to be just a little more authentic?
Yeah, I mean, I would really tap into, oh, here's a good one. One just came to mind too, I haven't mentioned. I think that one of the greatest ways we can tap into our internal truth is to reflect on who we were as children. And when we think about who we were before the noise, before society told us who we were supposed to be or should be, then we can get glimpses of who we truly are. So for me, I can think back and know that I was very creative. I was starting to write songs at like 8 years old, and I would love to draw and paint. And I really saw myself on television, which is interesting, and like did things to like look at ways for me to learn more about media. I look at my daughter, and my daughter at 4 years old, she's writing songs at 4. I was 8 or 9. She was 4. She's 4. But she's so creative. She's a leader. Like, she says things and people will follow. So tapping into, like, going back to what did I enjoy when I was a child? What did adults say about me? What did they recognize with me or in me? Asking your parents or siblings or family members to recall, I think, is a really good way to access some of that truth.
I love that, because that was going to be my second question is, what were you like?
Yeah.
So, I love it. And, we do sometimes talk ourselves out of those things, out of that natural sparkle or pop we had, in a certain way. I know I was a real ham when I was a little kid, and, like a performer, and, talked myself out of that a lot of the years, like tamp that down. Don't be such a showboat. And it's a really beautiful exercise you're encouraging us to do, to simply ask, what were you like? Yes. What were you like? What were the sparks of leadership in you, whether they were creative or, rallying people around something or a different expression?
And you saying spark reminded me that, just to add to that, is what sparked joy in you? What energized you, and what still energizes you. And I think being curious about what energizes you, whether it was previous or current, can help lead us into what is for us and what is not.
That's beautiful. And I want to say, something else, because you actually said it, and it was so powerful to me in listening to some of your interviews and podcasts. But I think, with the idea that we are sometimes messes, right? Mm-hmm. We are sometimes not having that moment of clarity. Sometimes we're not feeling like, yes, I'm in touch with my inner knowing.
Yes.
And you talked about, and you said this, and I feel like it's important to repeat for others, it's okay to not be productive. It's okay to have times where you're struggling. It's okay to give yourself grace, for that. It's okay to shed some of the people or the things that pull you down, right? When you're not feeling clear and knowing. And I just wanted to offer that because it was a real gift to have you say that and remind me. And I want to pass that on. Somebody needs to hear that today.
And this is the season where we all need to give ourselves and others more grace.
Totally. And I think this authenticity movement, towards being more ourselves at work, we can do that better. We can show up more honestly, but we can hopefully also give that empathy to others who need it. There's so much about this that's exciting. I wonder, when you see some of the most authentic leaders you've witnessed, or turnarounds and transformations you've seen, is there something, a move, a mindset that you see people take on that helps them really succeed with their authenticity? Is there something that the people who are the best at this do differently?
You're reminding me that something that I love about the work that I do is that I am fortunate enough to see those transformations take place. And I'm actually in the process of dissecting some of those things because I'm working on a book. What I
Beautiful.
will say, yes, exciting, and so we'll have to have some offline conversations, Selena, about
Yes.
that process. But what I will say is that the people who make those greatest transformations into being more authentic, I find that they are ones who are able to rediscover their truth. And that's something that we've talked about a lot today. Rediscovering, really tap into the truth of who they are and their personal power. And then also understanding that in order for them, it's also deprogramming because many of them are not showing up authentically because they were taught that it wasn't safe to do so. So once they're able to tap into their truth and really understand the essence of who they are, then it's helping them dismantle some of the limiting beliefs that tell them that being their best selves is going to be risky. It's going to make them unsafe. It's going to backfire. So taking those baby steps where they are able to see, oh, people are responding to me when I, share this part of myself is something that helps them build the confidence over time.
That's so important, right? Because you can get a lot of messages, especially if you're in marginalized groups, right? Especially if you're a woman of color, if you're a person of color, you know, don't be too loud. Don't say it like that. Don't wear it this way. The amount of self-editing, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
And calculating what is acceptable, right? Because isn't that what we all want?
Right.
to be accepted, but that's quite a load and a burden. So I can see why, there'd almost need to be extra investment to say, you have incredible gifts.
Yeah.
Let's help bring them forward,
When they do, they get success. They have results. Like, the women that I work with, the clients that I work with typically they're getting promoted very fast. I had one woman who I was working with in one of my leadership development programs was on a performance plan when she started the program. By the end of the program, within 6-12 months after the program, she got a promotion. And her boss started challenging her when she wasn't showing up as her authentic self. So yeah, there's a lot of power in this.
Well, that's beautiful. That's actually something we can do as friends and peers and supervisors too. If we see somebody not showing up authentically, being able to help them, give the little nudge to encourage them, hey, I noticed you were really quiet in the meeting and you have so many great ideas. I'd love for you to share more next time, right? Or, I notice you pass the buck a lot, but you make really great decisions. I would love for you to share the decision we should make next time. Like, we can help each other do that. The other thing I'm struck by is when you said some of the most successful people, what they do is rediscover. Once again, they're not looking outside. They're looking here. So I love this. It really hits home your message of kind of you are your own best advisor. Yes. Advocate, right? Career doctor. It's true. All of those things. We have a tradition here of asking our guests to share with us their parting truth bomb, that thing they really want to tattoo on our minds.
What I would say is that your greatest gift to this world and your mission in life is to be the truest, youest you can be.
That's so beautiful. Mic drop. So perfect. Well, authenticity is one of your superpowers, Kailei, and that's very clear. And you're helping spread that message, not just by teaching it and coaching people on it, but by modeling it, which is really an awesome thing to watch. So we need your message. Keep spreading it. I love what you're doing. For you all who want to learn more about Kailei, you're going to see links in the show notes. Check out her website, visit her there, follow her on social channels, which you'll see it. Do it here on LinkedIn if you're not, on Instagram and on Twitter too. Give her podcast a listen. I just gave it 5 stars because it's that great. Just the sound of your voice makes me feel more assured and confident. And I know you all will really benefit from it and enjoy it too. Stay in touch with me while you're at it. Follow me here on LinkedIn if you're not. Join my newsletter tribe at selinarezvani.com/sign up. And check out my LinkedIn learning courses on how to show up confidently. I hope all of you will stay healthy, stay well, be authentic, and lead on. Thanks so much.